I just finished making Simplicity 98-97, this really super long sweatshirt out of this cozy plush fleece from Minerva, and I love it. But you know, when you're videotaping and sewing at the same time, sometimes boo-boos happen. Don't tell anybody this, but when I sewed the neckband on, I put the seam in the front, and I didn't notice it until I was taking the video. So if you go back and look at the videos, you'll see that there's a seam going right down the center of the front. So I'm going to fix this, and I'm not going to fix it by just taking the neckband off and putting another neckband on. Personally, I don't like rounded neckbands on me. I like a V-neck much better. It gives me a little bit of a longer look. I'm going to show you how to change this crew neck to a V-neck. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to cut this boo-boo band off. And I want to be careful not to cut too much of it off because I don't want a huge neckline on this, but I am going to take the band off. So I'm going to cut into the band, and then I'm going to cut it right along the seam line all the way around. There, now I've detached the neckband. I'm going to turn this back, right side up. And I'm going to make very sure that I am working with the front of my garment. So this narrow piece is the back, and this wider piece is the front. And the first thing I want to do is I want to find the center front. So I'm going to fold this, making sure that my shoulders, that first seam for my sleeve matches exactly. And what I want to do is I want to make this into a V angle, and I'm going to just cut it, but you certainly could take a ruler. I'm just going to cut that little bit of a lip off. I don't need a severe V. I just want a little bit of a V there. There, so now I have, take this pin out. These pins get buried in this fabric is so plush. So now I have a V-neck. Right, so I'm pretty happy with that. Then I took the pattern piece from the tissue from the pattern for the neckband, and I cut it. This is 3 inches, and I cut a big long strip, just like my other one. It's tubular. This is a tubular banding, so I have to open it up. So I'm going to open it up to make it a big long tube. I need to measure the length of my neck opening now because it's larger than what I had with the pattern piece. So I'm going to do that just by running this along the neck edge. And this is the V that I just cut. I'm going to start this about 5/8 of an inch before the V and just put a pin in there to anchor it in place. And instead of using a ruler, I am going to hand walk without stretching either the neck edge or the banding. I'm going to hand walk it all the way around the neck edge. And it's actually a little short, which is fine. So that piece is 4 inches too short. We actually want the neckband a little bit shorter than the opening because what happens is when you put a binding on something, it kind of sucks in the rest of the fabric so it'll lay flat against your skin. So if this had gone all the way to the edge, which is what I had hoped it would do, I would measure it, which is I'm going to do now, and then subtract 1 inch for every 8 to 10 inches of length. So my neck edge is actually this length plus 4 inches because I was 4 inches short, which is hopefully going to work out for us. So this is 27 inches long, and if I had the 4 inches, it would actually be 31. And if I use my 1 inch rule, 1 inch for every 8 to 10 inches, I'm perfect within this, with this being 4 inches long, short, because I would have cut it. Had the neckband been, had this piece been 31 inches long and it was the right length, I would have cut it to 27 inches, somewhere in that ballpark, because you want it smaller. So 4 inches is perfect. Now I'm going to fold this wrong sides together, and I'm going to pin, I'm just going to pin the ends right at the moment. And then I want to find the center of my neckband. Because that is going to go in my center back. And we're gonna make sure it's the back this time. It's mistakes, right? You know, sometimes they work out, it's okay. It's just fabric. So in order to find the center back, I'm going to match up my 2 seams for my sleeve, whether this happens to be a raglan sleeve, whether it's a shoulder seam or a sleeve seam. You just want to find the center of the back, because I want the gathering, this is going to be stretched as it goes along the neck edge. I want it to be even on either side. So I'm going to start at the center back by pinning my folded piece of banding to the center back of my neck. Now, in order to get a V, we need to be a little tricky with this because we're retrofitting something. So I'm going to come down to where that V is in the front, and I'm going to pin my folded banding about 3/8 of an inch past that V, somewhere between 3/8 and 5/8 of an inch. So there's the V. Let's make it 3/8. There's my V, and I've pinned that banding there. Now I need to fit this wider piece of fabric into the banding. So I'm just going to kind of lightly gather the under fabric and pin the banding as I go along, matching both edges of the banding and the edge of the neck edge of the sweatshirt. You can see that my sweatshirt is bigger than the banding, which is what we want. So we're taking in, on this one, actually 2 inches on each side. So when I sew this, I want the bigger piece towards the feed dogs, and I'm going to kind of stretch it a little bit so this banding actually holds this neck edge in. And I'm going to sew this first half and then come back and sew the second half, because we want this banding in the front to cross over. So I need to have this stitched down in order to do it properly. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start sewing not all the way over here at the edge, but at the V at the 3/8 inch mark. All right, now you can see that I've sewn this banding halfway around the neck edge, and it looks great. This is a little puffier because it's a little bigger, and this is going to hold it in. And what I want to do is I want to get this V in the right place. This I want to sew to this side of my neckband. Because when it's stitched in place, I want it to look like that. And this other piece, if you need to have a visual, this other piece is going to come down underneath. So that's how my neck edge is going to look. So in order to accomplish that, this piece, this first half that I just stitched on, needs to be part of this section here. And because I left this open and didn't stitch this all the way down, I can turn it. If it's giving you all kinds of angst, you can put a little tiny clip here on the fashion fabric of the body of the fabric, and that will open it up just a smidge more. And you can also go ahead and stitch that down before you put this other piece on. I'm going to actually do them at the same time. So this other half of my neck edge is going to come over this piece that I just pinned down. So it can be fiddly, and you also want to make sure that, you know, that everything stays where it's supposed to be. And you have 2 layers of binding there, so that can get a little thick for your machine. And again, I'm going to do the same thing with this side. I'm going to fold my binding in half and gather up the rest of the neck edge. You know, this is really a simple fix. I mean, it was a silly boo-boo, and, you know, most of them are, right? You know, sewing along, and I'm sewing and talking and wasn't paying attention, and boom, all of a sudden I have a boo-boo. So, and this is actually going to work out better for me. I kind of like this better. I like the V-neck. It will look better. So I'm gonna go stitch that half down. Okay, and voila, we have our new neckband. And look at how great that looks. Now that didn't take me hardly any time at all. If this bothers you, you can stitch this down. You can go back and, so now in the inside, if you want to see the inside, this is the first piece we stitched. And I'm just gonna go back and stitch this piece down over here so it's not flopping around and sticking out. So I'll just stitch that on the seam line just like I did with the original one. And now we have this really beautiful V neckline, and the seam is in the front is supposed to be there. Okay, and here we are with the V-neck. This is such a better look for me. Plus, with that seam in the front, I never would have worn it. Because every time I put it on, that's all I would have seen was that seam, even if you didn't see it. But I do like the V neckline, so you have options. When you make a mistake, or if you don't like something, just change it up a little bit. Add a different design style, and it'll make it all your own. Happy sewing. Bye.